I mean, did you just expect to be that productive and effective?
Yes.
From day one?
Day one. Anybody listening?
Yeah.
You gotta manifest and think about what you want in life. Like,
say more about that.
Like, literally, you gotta manifest and think about anything you want in life. You gotta set your goals and set them high. Like, that's the only way you can reach them. Set your goals high and set them. So,
Man, what a blessing it is to be here in Studio 529 Miami. Again, filming the third conversation. We have this incredible week after Easter in the city of Miami and with my new friend, Alexander Johnson. I want to be clear because there were comments about other universities made earlier as we were getting ready to sit down. Tennessee Vols.
yes.
Tennessee Vols.
Tennessee Vols all day.
Alexander is a linebacker walking into his 7th season in the NFL. He and Elise, three.
We had 3 under 3.
3 beautiful children under 3, and it's a privilege to have Alexander here with us, who's now living in Tennessee. Alexander, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on, and hey, let's get some good talking going.
Yeah. So let's start with the childhood. Our listeners love hearing about where the love for sports, especially guys that are playing at a high level in the NFL. But when you were little, looking back, growing up in the family that you did, I know you have a bunch of siblings, and we were talking about that as well. What was the first sport that you fell in love with?
First sport, obviously, is football. Like, that's literally the number one sport that I fell in love with. Like we said, we grew up in a big family, grew up in Section 8. If you don't know what Section 8 is, it's the hood. So, back in those days when we was growing up, everybody out playing football, basketball. I don't know if you ever heard of sideline bus where you playing football on the street, but if you get close to the sideline, you get tackled, and then that usually get going over to getting tackled on the street and playing tackle in the concrete. So, I just grew up loving playing outside, being outdoors, and football definitely was my favorite sport. I love all sports, but it was obviously my favorite. And one of the biggest things I feel like that helped me thrive to where I'm at today is I set goals at a young age. Like, I remember telling my mom when I was in Little League, I was 6 years old, and I told my mom, it touched my heart every time I talk about it, because I just think about all the stuff that I've been through, overcome, and came from. But I told my mom when I was 6 years old, Mama, I'm going to go play in the NFL. First thing she told me, son, you can do it, but you got to make sure you get your schoolwork done. I said, okay. But football definitely was it, and that was my goal ever since I was a kid, and I literally worked for it every day of my life.
When you think back to those years, 6 years old, and you already had that vision of living this life in the NFL, who were the people ahead of you that you looked up to that maybe you gleaned something from or you admired in a big way that you said, I want to play like him?
I got to be, the very first person that come to mind is Marshall Faulk. And
wow.
It was more so just because I played all position, but growing up, you outside playing running back, you playing throwback tackle, and you run the ball, and I love running the ball. So it was Marshall Faulk who I really looked up to as a football like NFL guy. And then I gotta say, it was one of my cousins, his name Carlos. And when I was a little kid, at our high school, Gainesville High School, Big Red all day. When you're younger, they having a high school game playing, and then you'll be on the side and you be over there playing football while they playing. So it's like the high school game playing, but you still playing football on the side where you can see the game, and it's like, oh, that's my big cousin scoring a touchdown. That's my big cousin scoring a touchdown. And that was one of the guys who I learned. I feel like I learned a little bit about, oh, this is how you play football? Like, just run and scoring touchdowns, and like the excitement that people had from him scoring touchdowns and stuff like that, and just going out playing in the yard. That right there helped a lot too.
In addition to your mother, I know that it typically takes a village to raise a child, especially the most successful ones.
Most definitely.
In addition to your mother, who else was a great influence and advocate of this childhood dream that you had?
It got to be my brothers.
Talk about that.
My two older brothers. I got a younger brother. But you're saying it take a village. It literally take a village. Even the neighborhood we grew up in, like, we didn't come from much. But at the time, I would never know we didn't come from much because my mom always made sure we had what we needed. We always didn't get what we want, but we had what we needed. And one of the things I never forget, it was one day Mama came in. I was like, Mama, hey, I want to go get this. Can I go get this? She said, no, son, you can't go do that. I'm like, why? I only got $10 to my name to last us for the whole week. And I was sitting there thinking like, that can't be true. Sure enough, you get older and realize like that was really true. And she always found a way to provide for us. And like you said, it took a village, like our next door neighbor, that we'll come home if she working, they'll come in and check on us or different things like that. But it goes a long way where it takes a village. And my brothers, they was always there because, we lived in the same room. And when you say village, I was the youngest of my two older brothers who was living in the house. And so we had to share rooms, but I got to an age where I was like, man, I ain't sharing a room with y'all, man. I'm going to sleep on the couch. So that was my room. I slept on the couch because I didn't want to sleep in the bed with brothers. that right there is like, yeah, that was my favorite spot, the couch, because I didn't want to sleep beside my brothers.
Something you said really resonated with me. I've heard it before, maybe not the same words, but we didn't always have what we wanted, but we always had what we needed. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other examples and lessons that you learned from watching such a strong mother provide and protect their boys?
One of the first things that popped in my head is this ain't like an example, but something that pops to my head. Like during this time where people say mental toughness or your mental health and stuff like that, and it's like, growing up throughout sports and stuff, coaches be like, hey, be mental strong, be mental tough. And I sit back and think, it's like, for me, it naturally came into play because the way we was upbringing, we had to be mental tough. We had to be mental strong because ain't nobody there to help us. Nobody gonna be able to lend a helping hand. Like, we had to get it out the mud. My mom had to get it up for us. So, like, other stuff that comes through life and happens, it's like, man, that ain't nothing. Like, I was able to come from this. This ain't nothing. So, just like, for example, not being able to have just your heat on for a short period of time where you got to heat yourself from the oven, or you got to find different means to stay warm just because, we're a little late, we got to be able to get the heat up for next thing, or not having hot water where I naturally, we had the option to go shower at our next door neighbor, but me, I'm like, shoot, I'll take a cold shower, that ain't nothing. Like, everybody just can't hop in the cold shower and take a cold shower like it ain't nothing. So just different things like that help groom us to how we became men and being successful as we were for me and all of my brothers. So like little examples like that is being mental tough is something you're raised and brought. You can't naturally just be mental tough. You got to be raised and brought and learn from it.
You're in high school. You're one of the top players in the entire country. Mm-hmm. Gainesville High. Who are some of the other great players that you got to play with during that season of your life?
So, I guess talking from transition to high school, just throw some names out. I had two pretty great quarterbacks I played with. Blake Sims, if you heard that name. Yeah. Got records at Alabama.
Yeah, if you watch football.
And then the other name I could throw out, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I was like, so I was a senior when he was starting as a true freshman. from the record, we only know so far it's only been two freshmen that ever started our high school. Is Deshaun Watson and me. The only ones you ever know that start as true freshmen at our high school. But I always tell people, the year Deshaun Watson played quarterback for my high school, he was a freshman, I was senior. I played quarterback too. I was the Wildcat quarterback. I didn't throw the ball, but I was quarterback.
You're the Wildcat quarterback. I love it. What are some of the lessons that maybe continued on from the way your mother set the tone at the top as the head of the household, head of family, always providing and protecting? What were some of the lessons that then continued on into the locker room in high school? You played for one of the most nationally recognized programs in the entire country. There's a ton of talent. It's a talent powerhouse, really, if you look at it over the last 40, 50 years. What were some of the lessons learned from that program that have stuck with you today?
While you were saying that, this just popped in my head. I got to say it.
Yeah, please.
We were talking about village.
Yeah.
I can't remiss my grandma because
please.
Anytime we had breaks or any holiday from school, we went up to South Carolina, Moncks Corner, South Carolina. If you ever heard of it, it's close to Goose Creek, Charleston area, on the dirt road. So that's where I fell in love with outdoors, from being on the dirt road and literally, I was a kid running laps on the dirt road because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted from a young age. But my grandma, she's definitely a huge part of that village because she helped my mother tremendously. Anytime we got school breaks, we go into South Carolina. But any lessons I learned from my mother that carried me over, it's so many. But I feel like one of the biggest ones is resilience. Mm-hmm. And being resilient helps you in all aspects of life, where you can just overcome anything that comes your way. And being resilient, I feel like that's one of the biggest things, just knowing all the different aspects of life she had to overcome, raising three boys, and just very resilient. And that's my hero. People already know that's my mother's my hero. And yeah, but I know that my resilient aspect, that's what I think set me as far as I am today. From and talking about high school, obviously I had good accolades and stuff like that, but I just found out not too long ago, and this will be the first time me saying it on camera. I've been inviting people personally, but I haven't said it out loud or put it anywhere. I'm getting inducted into the Gainesville Hall of Fame, which is a huge honor, and it's truly blessing just to be able to get inducted to the Hall of Fame from high school. And that right there touched me even more than anything, because I had a grandmother. Her name was Graham, and she had dementia and Alzheimer's. And one of the things she called me every time I walk in the door, "There's my Hall of Famer. There's my Hall of Famer." So that right there is very tremendous and honored just to be able to be a part of a club. And I think of my grandma every time. And it's on April 13th, 7 p.m. Hey, I'll pull up if you want to see your boy get inducted.
I love that.
But yeah,
you should be proud of something like that, right? You played for an incredible powerhouse in high school. When you think back again to the tone at the top with the coaches and the locker room, what are some of the things that you took away from your high school playing years that really still stand out to you today?
We had a good brotherhood. And
talk about that a little bit.
The brotherhood from our team was one of the biggest things I think that helped us. Is we got an amazing organization and just Gainesville, just sports system. From Little League, all the guys I played with Little League, we moved up each year with each other, and the coaches moved up as well. So from when I was 6, going all the way up to middle school, the coaches moved up with the guys who they had in Little League, which I never heard anything like that, which helps tremendously on just knowing the guys and system and stuff like that. And our Little League system, we had the exact same system as the high school, so you can roll right into the same system. So that was pretty cool just to be able to be a part of something like that. And as I was in middle school, one of my coaches, I was one of the guys who, when you're in 6th grade, you still can play park and rec, but I ended up wanting to go to 6th grade and be like, well, I'm good enough to play in middle school as a 6th grader. I know I'm good enough. That was my first year of never seeing the field. And I was like, granted, we all know I was good enough, but it's politics in all levels.
Yeah.
So we all knew I was good enough to play, but I had to wait. That was my first year of sitting out not to play a sport because I had to sit the bench, ride the bench. But from there, moving on, get to 8th grade, and then moving to high school. One of my coaches kept going to Coach Earl. Kept going to one of my high school coach, Bruce Miller, one of the defensive coach. Man, you need to let this guy play. I'm telling you, you need to let him play. You need to let him play. And for me, starting on 9th grade, played 9th grade 4 games. Then I got to JV. Well, they were like, oh, yeah, we can't have him on 9th grade. We need to move him up to JV. So I played on JV, and one of my oldest brothers, he was on JV and varsity. So we got to play ball with each other.
At the same time.
I never forget that. That's why I love, for all my kids, they all growing together because me and my brothers, we grew up together. And I played football and basketball with one brother. But this one game, I'll never forget. We was playing Chesadee. This man, we punt the ball, the other team catch the ball. He's running down to go tackle him, takes the ball out his hand, and then go run and score a touchdown.
Your brother did?
My brother. So, the competition in us and being able to play with my brother, I said, all right, I see what you're trying to do. Okay. Not the series I was on defense, but the series after that. Guess what I did? The running back came through the hole. I met him in the hole, took the ball out of his hand, and took off running to the other end and got my touchdown. So me and my brother did that in the same game, which
wow.
That's wild. That's crazy that we was able to do that. But that right there is just like brotherhood from guys my brother living with him my whole life, but just teammates and stuff growing up. That was pretty cool to have that happen in the game. But from that, I played JV. I played JV 4 games, and then after playing JV 4 games, so I played linebacker and tight end. So when I got up to the varsity, we was getting whooped. We was getting blown out, beat, and the coach was like, all right, go ahead and throw some of the younger guys in on JV. So they threw me in varsity. I played a little tight end, a few plays, and then they moved me into linebacker. That's where they messed up at.
And that's what you've been playing since.
Yeah, so once they moved me into linebacker, it was probably about mid-third quarter-ish. And we was playing, I believe it was Forsyth County. We had a big old country running back, talking about big boy, running the ball, just running people over, just run it down our throat. But yeah, I got in there and I shut that down real fast. I ended up getting 14 tackles in the span of just me being in. Their run game got shut down. Ended up getting a standing ovation from the crowd after the game, which is,
wow.
As a freshman, a standing ovation.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shoot, they standing up clapping for me? Oh, shoot. It was just a cool feeling just to have. And then from that, it was pretty much history. Linebacker since then.
When you fast forward a little bit, thinking about heading into your senior year, share with our listeners a little bit about what you were experiencing in terms of attention from colleges and where your mind was initially in terms of where you might go to school.
So, obviously, how I said NFL was my number one goal. And by the time I got probably about my sophomore year, in late freshman year, but beginning of sophomore year, started getting reached. You know how guys who know flooding with letters flooding in, just a whole bunch of colleges, letters from everywhere. And I was sitting back thinking oh shoot, this for me, okay, this for me. And then it got to the point where I'm getting letters all the time, starting at my sophomore year. And that's when I realized all right, I got to make a decision I got to start thinking about college. Because I wasn't thinking about college. I was thinking about NFL growing up.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking about college. And then at that point, my sophomore year, I started thinking about colleges and stuff. And so at the time, Gainesville Red Elephants, our helmet got a G on it, like Georgia. 30 minutes from Georgia.
Yeah, right.
Everybody, all the guys from our school who's went top D1s wanted to go to Georgia. But for some reason, Georgia never recruited us until literally after the end of our season. So we all oh yeah, I'm going to Georgia. I'm going to Georgia. That's the one offer I didn't get, which it happened to pretty much all the guys who went through from my high school. They didn't try to offer or show no love until after our senior season, after all the other schools recruited us and stuff like that. So fast forwarding it to my junior year, pretty much it broke down to Tennessee and Florida. Visit all of the schools, but my top schools were Tennessee and Florida. Visit Tennessee, visit Florida, and then I committed to Tennessee. I committed to them my junior year, and that's when Derek, actually Lane Kiffin and his crew, his dad and stuff was the coach there, and Coach Orgeron and all them. They was there, so I committed to the Tennessee during that time. Then the coach left, and then I decommitted. Coach Dooley came in, went back up to Tennessee, visit again, and then on that spot, I was like, "Yeah, I'm committing back to Tennessee," because I just had that gut feeling. It was home for me. You can't beat the Vol. It's just the atmosphere up there was unmatched from any other schools I visit.
Yeah, I mean, you had an incredibly special collegiate career. You freshman All-American in 2011, Football Writers Association. You led SEC with 138 tackles in 2012, second team All SEC. I mean, they had just ballers in the SEC at that time. 106 tackles in 2013, first team All SEC. You know, chose to play out your senior year. I mean, you have a bunch of records that are still sitting there at Tennessee. What was that like? I mean, did you just expect to be that productive and effective?
Yes,
From day one.
from day one. Anybody listening?
Yeah.
You gotta manifest and think about what you want in life. Like,
Say more about that.
like literally, you gotta manifest and think about anything you want in life. You gotta set your goals and set them high. Like, that's the only way you can reach them. Set your goals high and set them. So at the time, before I got to Tennessee, Eric Berry. That's who I was looking up to at the time. Eric Berry. I said, "Mama, when I get to Tennessee, I'm gonna be like him. I'm gonna be better than him." I was like, "That he that dog. He a dog, Mama." And so that's who I was looking at. And then they had another linebacker, Revez. Forgive me if I pronounce his name wrong.
Yeah.
Number 56, small, undersized linebacker, but he was everywhere on the ball, flying around everywhere on the ball. I said, "Look at the way he getting to the ball all the time." I said, "Mama,
Yeah.
you see how he doing that? Wait till I get there."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to get to Tennessee, and so I expected to be the best. So I get to Tennessee. I didn't start the first 3 games. They was rotating me in just a little bit here and there on base packages and stuff like that. And sure enough, we played Florida the 3rd game. And after that game, it was pretty much a wrap. I was able to get some good playing time, and then I just hit the ground running from there, making a lot of plays and just playing well and just exceeding and just doing real well against Florida.
When you think of your overall productivity during your time at Tennessee, obviously you're one of the most effective and productive tacklers in the history of the school. What are the couple things, we have a large audience of student athletes that listen to this podcast across the country. A lot of young men with huge dreams for football. What are some of the most basic, simple things that you did consistently above and beyond what was expected of you to put in the work? What was the extra you did? What was the extra?
Consistently. I don't know. It's just, what you just said, above and beyond, or what you expected to do. I never really looked at it as anything expecting me to do it, because I don't expect nobody else to expect me to be the best that I want to be. So you got to expect the best out of yourself before anybody else expects you to do something. That's a one start. Like, you gotta go want to get it yourself. And that's one thing I knew I started with. We put a lot of extra work in. Like, I was one of the leaders of the team. One of my other, he's like my brother, Kurt Majid. He was a leader of the team. And anybody during that time when we was there, they can speak on it. We gonna go hard every time we walk in there. Yeah. Ain't no complaining. Cut that complaining out. Let's put the work in. Like, you made the decision to come here. Let's go get to work. Yeah. And so, like, that's one thing. Like, I know, like, any guys that I played with or worked out with and grind with, they already know, man, bro, AJ, he gonna push you. He gonna make you. He gonna make you get that extra work in. And like, any guys in the group, oh yeah, we done. Hey, let's get one more set. Oh, hey, let's get this extra work. Hey, let's run that one extra one. Like just little things like that. Putting the extra work in because it goes a long way. Like nowadays, you have a lot of all throughout a period of time, you have a lot of guys who just naturally raw talented. But I feel like the guy who put that work in the most consistently is going to beat that natural raw talented guy, and that it goes a very long way. And it was just this popped in my head. I know you was reading off a couple of my stats from me being at Tennessee. It's one you didn't know about though. You know how I told you I did Wildcat in high school?
Yeah.
I did it in college as well. And I led the team in rushing touchdowns.
No, you didn't.
My sophomore year. So the year Matateo won Heisman.
Yeah. At Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame, my stats was just as better than his. He had 6 picks. I had 6 touchdowns. So if we was winning at the time, I would have been on a Heisman run.
Wow.
For sure. But yeah, like I've scored touchdowns, run the ball at Tennessee, which that was pretty cool to do.
Whose idea was that? Yours or the coaching staff's from seeing what you did in high school?
Obviously, it was my idea, but I commend Coach Dooley because he was a man of his word.
Yeah.
Like when I came in as a freshman, obviously they knew I ran the ball and scored touchdowns and stuff like that at Wildcat. So he was like, I said, hey coach, what's up? What you think about me doing a little Wildcat here? He said, all right. He said, AJ, you played well your freshman year, get the defense down and learn it. Your sophomore year, I give you a shot. Sure enough, he's man his word, gave me a shot. And I led the team in rushing touchdowns that year. And that was the year Tennessee offense was the best offense in its history. Yeah, I ain't saying it because of my 6 touchdowns, because we had like Cordell Patterson, Tyler Brady. We had a lot of guys.
Incredible cast.
Yeah, the offensive linemen's crazy good, Jawan James. So like we had a lot of good players at the time. But I was able to contribute to one of the best offenses in Tennessee history with my 6 touchdowns. I had like 6 carries. I had like 12 carries, maybe for like 56 yards or something like that. All short yardage, but you know it's gonna work.
You were effective at getting across the line.
Yes, sir.
When you were thinking about your season as it was wrapping up and you're thinking about the next chapter of your life, entering the NFL, what were the thoughts that you had heading into that NFL draft season?
So, obviously, my junior year, I had to make the decision if I want to go into the draft or if I want to stay back. So I weighed my pros and cons. I was getting a projected grade around 3rd round-ish. And it was like, all right, my junior year getting 3rd round-ish, that was my projected grade, like around that time. I I didn't work for that. Like I know what I want to do. Like I knew I wanted to be in a suit, being in New York, being a chance to get picked 1st round as a linebacker, having my mom and family up there, being able to do that. So and then another thing my mom said, your degree as well. So I was like, all right. It was no brainer. I said, all right, I'm coming back to Tennessee for my senior year. Mm-hmm. I obviously come back to Tennessee for my senior year, was literally on track to win the Buckets Award. Everything was going real smooth, playing good, starting off real good with good stats and stuff like that, and just enjoying my time in school and just enjoying every bit of it, my time in school. Sure enough, I was on track to get the Buckets Awards list, and boom, got hit with a false accusation, false accused. Young lady lied on me that put a pause to my football career, and I got kicked off the team, put a pause to my football career, and I was able to still go to school, and I finished. Literally that season, I was taking 20 credits during football season just because I was determined to graduate. So then when they would finish the football season up, and then I ended up graduating that December. So they would get my degree, graduated that December, and had these accusations, the false worst thing you ever be called, had to deal with. So like, all right, I'm off the team, didn't be able to finish the season. So I started prepping for the combine. Mm-hmm. So started prepping for the combine, and I would say I was training out here in Florida at XPX, so I was all like, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I was on track to get some good combine stuff in, and it's like, all right, this stuff still ain't blown over yet, but I'm still training, getting ready for the combine. I was invited to the combine, and then probably around January, the beginning of that year, early beginning of that year, the indictment, stuff you got to go through for the court system and end up hitting. And so I did end up getting indicted literally on the last day you can get indicted. So once that happened, I ended up getting my combine offer pulled away from me. And then I was like, well, I ain't going to the league. But, that I didn't never let that stop me or hold me back from anything. I was able to just keep pushing, keep working. I end up getting a job working at John Deere. From John Deere, I ended up becoming a RLCT, which is a radiological control technician. So working with radiation and stuff like that. And then all in the meantime of me switching jobs and working 9-to-5 jobs, I was also still training constantly. Sometimes training 3 times a day. Wake up at 5 a.m. I go run during my lunch break and then train in the evening. And also, I was training people as well while I was still waiting to go to court.
Yeah,
4 years. 4 years of doing this.
4.
Yeah. Just constantly sticking to the grind of just being consistent and being resilient, being consistent. And so that right there was that was just I was blessed regardless of me going through my trials during that time. I still was extremely blessed being able to go pick up snowboarding, getting ready to go, getting to sport, different places, going to visit different places I never had the time to while I was in football. So people oh man, that's messed up what happened to you. I man, God got his plan, got his reason for everything, but I didn't let nothing hold me back or stop me because never good to play a victim mindset. It's just not it's not good for anybody. So kept pushing, kept working. I feel like I'm jumping a lot of things, but eventually got picked up in 2018 by the Denver Broncos.
Alexander, what an incredible story. And selfishly for me, I mean, I know that we only recently met, but I knew the story. So I just want to tell you from one man to another man, it meant a lot to me that you went into that because you didn't have to. But how powerful is it? It was 4 years of your life that you held on to that promise you made your mama when you were 6. You were 6.
Mm-hmm.
20 years later, you were still doing what it took to prove that you belonged.
Oh, yeah.
How special was it when the Denver Broncos called?
Man, I wouldn't say it put me by shock or surprise because what I was saying earlier, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to make it to the league. At the end of the day, I believed in myself and I trust in God. And those two things carry you through anything you're going with in life.
Man, say that again. Say that again.
Believe in yourself and trust in God, and that'll carry you through anything you're going with, from small to big to little. It don't matter what it is. You got to believe in yourself because if you don't, you have no chance. And you got to trust in God because everything flows through him. All blessing flows through him. Me waking up this day, me able to be able to speak, it's all thanks to God. So that was my motto. And me saying that is actually during the time I wasn't playing, I haven't spoken about this. I created a brand called CB45, which stands for Chief, Beast, and Continue Believing. And so the chief aspect comes from guys at me talking about how I was being a leader at school and stuff like that. That came from college. Guys were like, Chief, what up, Chief? People call me Chief. And then the beast aspect came from way back in one of my first name I got when I was in middle school. People like, oh, the beast. So, I put two together and correlates from that is you can be a leader and you could be one of the best in your fields. So that's how I came up with that CB45. And then obviously the continue believing, that's the aspect of you have to have in your day-to-day life because we're gonna get hit with trials and tribulations. But if you can believe in yourself, trust in God, anything's possible. Literally anything's possible. And that right there, I feel like is the driving factor to be able to get me to where I'm at today. And like I know we were speaking how I got picked up in 2018 is because I believed I didn't have no second answer doubt that I wasn't going to make it. I know I worked for it, and I knew once that opportunity presented itself, I was going to capitalize on it. So crazy thing. So I ended up having probably about 6 teams hit me up. Literally the next day, he's acquitted from all charges and everything. The next day, I had probably like 6 teams hit me up.
Of course.
And that right there, I just, like, obviously, I know that was all in God's hand, but that in itself played a part of from the stuff I put in the work way before that, because if I didn't put in that work to be able to put myself in a position to even get somebody to just call me after 4 years of not playing ball, like that right there says a lot. So, but I ended up having couple teams call me, and I had on list to go visit Miami and Denver Broncos. And so my advisor at the time, he's out here in Florida. He was like, "Well, go out to the Broncos and go out to the Broncos first, because we right here, we can get to Miami real easily." So I went out to Denver. When I went out to Denver, sure enough, I did a workout. It wasn't like crazy, extreme hard or nothing like that. Just basic football, football drills and work. It's like, all right, yeah, we want to sign you. I'm like, what? Just that fast? And so I called my advisor. He's like, yeah. I was like, they say they want to sign me. He's like, well, I was like, shoot, do you want to sign, or do you want to go to Miami and try with Miami? I was like, no, excuse me. I'm ready to sign.
Nah, man.
I get a chance to get in the door. Yeah, I want to sign. So, and that right there was just a blessing in itself. But yeah, and to follow up on that, the crazy thing is me signing with Denver Broncos, 2015, I believe, when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When they was playing the Steelers, I got to see Peyton Manning play the Steelers, and they beat them to go to the Super Bowl. I was sitting in the stands during that game. And
no, you weren't.
I was in the stands, and I was with one of my brothers, and I was like, "What did y'all do?" I had a good time I was in the stands at Mile High Stadium, just as a fan, and in the stands, and like when I was saying how I was still living life during my time of me grinding to get to the NFL. Like, that was one of the things I picked up and I adopted. I would go up. I've been to, like, before I got with the team, I've been to Colorado at least 3 times just to go out and hike and do snowboarding. And then my brother, he was like, "Hey, you want to hit the football game?" And he was able to get us tickets and got to go to the game and in the stands and took pictures with one of the known fan in Mile High Stadium. I can't think of his name right now, but he's like, he dressed up all the time with all the stuff. So I had pictures with him and stuff, and I sure enough end up with Denver Broncos in my first team, which is the coincidence, but it was pretty cool being able to do that.
And that was a great locker room to be in at that time.
Oh yeah.
You played with some incredible guys in those couple seasons. Who was your favorite to play in? Once you got to the league, you were like, man, this is what I was fighting for the whole time. Who were some of the guys that were your favorite to play with?
I don't know. I feel like pretty much just the whole room, offense and defense, was just a good camaraderie, good group of guys. I was able to play with Von Miller, which one of the best,
unbelievable,
one of the best whoever
Forget
done
about it.
And it's like obviously when I got to there, people can be like, "Hey, how do you play with Von Miller? How he's and stuff like that." I like, man, he's a real great guy. Like, literally, like, outside of football, he's like a real great person. Like, this somebody you'll want to go just hang out with, and he's like genuinely and like just real great guy. And then Justin Simmons, anytime I think of Denver Broncos, I think of Justin Simmons, just because just his leadership and the way he carries himself on and off the field, and obviously he's just a baller on the field. So that was pretty cool. And then I keep going down the whole list of guys I played with, but it was a blessing.
Fair enough. Most recently, God's put a couple injuries back in your life. Talk about what it's been like to fight back from the pectoral injury to the Achilles. Where are you at today in relationship to football and your health?
So where I'm at today, I'm not 100% clear, but I'm healthy. I started doing some good foot movement today, But so I guess talk about where I'm at today in my career. So obviously, it was 2021 season. It was my contract year. So I got tendered when I was me being able to get to the Denver Broncos. I didn't play 2018, and then on 2019,
Yeah, incredible season.
5 games into the season, I was able to get my debut and play.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome and a blessing. And then from there, once I got the opportunity, I always tell people, when you get your opportunity, capitalize on it, because you never know when it's gonna come. When you get your opportunity, make the most of it and capitalize, because you don't know when it's gonna come. And that's one thing I did. My very first game, I got to start, got tackles, got a pick, and they was like, oh shoot, who's this guy? And they was like, oh yeah, that's why they didn't bring no linebackers in. They had him and stuff like that. So I was able to get some good accolades and just able to play ball. And it's like, I sit back and think, it's like, man, like I sit out 4 years, and once I got my chance, I still showed like I'm still one of the best linebackers in the league. Like that's my whole mindset. That I know I want to be the best. If I ain't the best, I'm working to be the best. So I was able to capitalize on that opportunity and just playing. And then in 2021, I started. It was my contract year. Started off real good. My first 5 games, I was like 90 PFL top linebacker in all categories and stuff like that. Like number one in run stop defense on run stopping defense, second in coverages. I was like, oh yeah, I'm starting off good. And they was like, hey man, keep it up. Like, I was like, all right, boom. It was playing against the Raiders, tore my pec. And I didn't know at the time, going in for a tackle, boom, went down. I was like, oh, I just got a stinker. I'm good. Kept playing on it through the game. And then it was one play I gave up a touchdown. So running after running back, and I was right beside him, and I went to go reach to defend, and I couldn't lift my arm up, and I just kept running. I was like, dang, he caught the ball literally my first time ever I can remember giving a touchdown up. No, my second time. It happened in high school. Giving a touchdown up on a passing play. And I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, that ain't good. Go run up, find out, tore my pec. So boom, that ended that season right there. I was on a good track. So I tore my pec. And then from there, I had to sit out until I got healthy. Then I got picked up by Seattle. was able to play 2 games with them.
Okay.
I got to play in the playoff game, which was pretty cool and was a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, Seattle was a real cool city to be able to live in.
Yeah.
Cool city to be able to play with. And the atmosphere in Seattle is just
unique.
It's different. It's
yeah,
very
yeah,
unique.
it is.
Like you don't see a coach running down the meetings with music loud. It's like, hey, it feel like I'm in college. They got it's turned up in here. It's like, all right, it's cool. So it was a real cool, unique experience to be able to go to Seattle and be under that staff. So I got to play with them, and then end up getting picked up with Miami this past season. And sure enough, so I was on practice squad with Miami, and then the week I was getting ready to make my debut, I had defensive packages, like, because we had injuries and stuff at linebacker, so my name was called. I was like, all right, it's time for me to capitalize on my opportunity. I've been waiting, been grinding, being patient. My opportunity coming. So it's time for me to capitalize on my opportunity. I was excited. Monday Night Football. Sure enough, on a Friday practice, boom, popped my Achilles. I was like, dang, and I knew it happened at that time. It's like, I looked back and it was like, hey, did you step on me or trip me up? And he was like, nah. No. He was like 8 yards away from me. Yeah. I said, dang. Yeah. So popped my Achilles, and then recovering good now. So still grinding.
Fighting for a place.
I'm about to say, once I get cleared, the goal is to get picked up with a team and keep it going. My goal is I want to play 4 more seasons. My goal is 4 more seasons, or if I ever get another major injury, hang it up, because I've been tremendously blessed. I've only been hurt 2 times in my whole career playing ball, and I've been playing a long time, and I played very aggressive. So I've only been hurt twice, and the 2 injuries are like the freak incidents, a pec and an Achilles. So, you know, I'm tremendously blessed and still on the hunt. You know, I'm gonna get cleared and then get picked up by a team and keep hunting.
Have you've had an incredible football career. It's a beautiful life, and you're right. So many darn blessings. What a privilege to have those experiences with your mother and your brothers. Mm-hmm. Have you started thinking about life after football? And if you have, what do you see?
I have been thinking life after football, but I also been living life in football, if that makes sense.
Makes a ton of sense. Say more though for our listeners.
So, like a lot of people like, hey, what you gonna do when you done playing ball? Like, my goal is to play in 4 more years till my son turn 5, or if I ever get major injured again. But on top of that, I have done investment properties. I had done my first house flip in Tennessee, which was successful. I have a property out in California that gained good equity and everything since I done had it. And actually looking for a property out here in Florida to just make my first rental property. And then obviously my home and stuff in Tennessee, we got a property out there. But like that's one thing I was looking and reading, and somebody was like, yeah, I just wanted to play Monopoly in real life. And I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. So that's something that like trying to do, play a little Monopoly in real life or gaining properties and stuff like that. Because real estate and investment in properties is what I know I want to do. Because when I tell you I set goals as a little kid, that was one of my goals. I want to own some land, own property, and own rentals, and that was one of my goals. So I've started that process during the time while I'm playing. 32 years old, so like it's like I'm not no little kid, so I need to go start thinking about what's here and what's there, because football is a blessing. I want to keep hunting and keep grinding. It should be a breadwinner, but outside of football, what else can you do? What else can you accumulate and grow off of?
So I know that we're coming up on time, and I'm super thankful that you came down to be with us today here in Miami. I was thinking about this incredible family that you and Elise have built. These 2 little girls and your son, the king. When you think about the way their father will be described to them as they get older, what will you want them to hear, or what will they hear about their father and his relationship with this incredible game of football?
Biggest thing I would want them to hear is I'm going to show them every day. I do that and show them. But one thing I try to teach them, and I will inbred in them, is be consistent, persistent, and resilient. And those things right there can catapult you through any obstacles through life. And as far as that, me as saying that, showing them, like, they know daddy gonna go work out, or daddy gonna go get in shape, or they'll work out with me. I'll be in the gym and I'll be doing some burpees or jumping jacks. The kids will be right along doing burpee jacks and jumping. And like literally, I got videos.
They're 3 and 2.
Yes.
He's like, get those burpees.
The lovely thing about it that I love, I don't even have to say them. They see daddy doing it, and then they'll just start doing it. And so I was like, yeah, good job. But the biggest thing is just those 3 right there would be key. And then like one of the things my auntie installed in me that I know I want to install in my kids is she always told me, be humble.
Yeah.
And that's what I got on my chest. Hungry but humble. So I feel like I want to be able to teach them they can be in any situation, any scenario. They can be with somebody very rich, somebody very poor. Show respect and give gratitude, because it's a blessing every day we get to wake up. So those little aspects right there, I know I would want to install in them. And like for me, my number one goal in life, and I'm working on that every day, and being that every day, is a father. Like,
yeah,
I want to be the best father in the world, going to be the best father in the world for my kids. So that's what I pride myself on, and I'm doing a pretty good job at it, I can say.
Yeah, I love that. And I know Elise would say the same. Man, Alexander Johnson going into the 7th season in the NFL. My guy off the field is playing Monopoly in real life. And he's got 3 little gems as children that he's setting an incredible standard for. I love what you said. Be consistent, persistent, and resilient. I love hearing the story of that 6-year-old boy that made that commitment to his mother, and seeing you play out those dreams in front of your mother and your siblings. What an incredible story, man. I hope you get those next 4 seasons locked in.
Thank you.
Either way, it's been a beautiful, beautiful football career. So it was a privilege and blessing to have you with us today.
Thank you as well. Blessing, for sure.
Awesome, brother. Thanks.